Hello everyone, and once again, thanks for tuning in. In this particular video, I guess we would like to wrap up tightening the set screw on your weapon selector switch for your Virpil F-14 fighter grip replica. So we're gonna kind of pick up where we left off last time in the first video. So if you haven't seen that, you probably wanna watch that video first and then come back to this one. So when you disassemble your grip here, you'll find 3 screws that is holding on this particular housing. It'll be one screw. Let me see if I can shine the light on this here. It'll be one screw there, another one in that corner, and a third screw located. You might can see the hole right there. So those are your 3 screws. Now, once you remove those 3 screws, and if you want to see what those look like, it's these guys here. This housing comes off. And at this point, for me, the weapon selector was already disengaged from the rotary switch where it was no longer turning your rotary switch. So at this point, once you remove this housing, of course, for sure, your rotary switch is disengaged. Your hat switch here is disengaged from your rotary shaft. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this loose. I tug it on it a little bit, and be careful not to tug on it too much and, pop these wires here or something like that. Okay, so once this is apart, for me, trying to figure out how to get this red hat switch off, I didn't want to kind of fool with sealants or glues and that kind of thing and get the wrong one and re-glue this, and it's like permanently hard to disassemble again. So being that this was plastic, I just went ahead and got the Dremel tool and cut a slot so that I can go ahead and pull this housing off. And at the end of the video, I'll show a way where you can cover this slot up so that it's hard to notice. So let's go ahead and remove the cover. So now that we have the slot, we can just go ahead and pull this free. So this is the, I'm gonna just call this the knob assembly. And if we look at it here, there's a push button at the bottom where you do your actuation, and it hits that push button. Let me see if I can get a better light on it here. And but again, the issue was trying to figure out how to get that shaft disassembled, and for me, I just chose to cut a slot in the housing to get this off. Okay, so from this standpoint, what we want to do next is put this back on. But when you tighten your set screw, you need to know what position the rotary switch is in. So one thing that I just discovered, I thought that the rotary switch would be a 4-position off-gun sidewinder Phoenix, but this is actually a 5-position rotary switch. I'm gonna rotate it fully counterclockwise, okay, in which we are. So that's the first position, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and then it stops. So this is a 5-position rotary switch. So I'm not sure if it's wired in positions 5 through 2 or 1 through 4. So I'm gonna just assume one way or the other, assemble it, test it out, and if it's off by 1, I know when I redo the set screw, I'll have a better idea of where to set this when I tighten the set screw. But for now, let's just arbitrarily turn this guy fully clockwise. So it's fully clockwise and it's stopped. So I'm gonna assume that that is in the off position, and I'll make that assumption. At the end of the video, once I put it back together, I'll post whether or not fully clockwise is indeed off, or do you have to go back up one tick. Okay, so for now, we know that this is fully clockwise, and we're gonna assume that's the off position. And what I went ahead and done as well, I used a black marker, and while I had this guy assembled, I made tick marks so that I could see where off gun and sidewinder is located in relation to this base. So it might not show up on the camera because I used a black ink marker, but I made little ticks on the side here with my marker pen. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this on, and I'm gonna line this up with the off tick. That's where I need to go, about right here. Okay, let's put this on here. I think I'm gonna need to rotate it one more. Okay, all right, it's lined up with my off tick. So right now that's off. And I'm just looking at it at different angles here. Okay, yeah, that looks like it's, oh, just moved it. Okay, so that looks like it's lined up with off. And at the top, we can see our set screw. So what we'll go ahead and do, we'll use our Allen wrench, hold this with our finger, make sure we're still lined up, and tighten our set screw. Okay, so that should be off. And then gun, sidewinder, Phoenix Sparrow. So now the set screw is back tight. It rotates your weapon selector switch. Okay, so now all we need to do is just reassemble it. So we'll go ahead and slide our housing back on. And when you put on your housing here, you'll see, I'm gonna rotate this. There it goes, kind of snaps in place. But when you reattach your housing, you'll see that the little peg drops in the hole. So you know that the housing is lined up because it's 3 of these peg holes. Okay, so now that that's lined up, Phoenix Sparrow, I can tell I was off a little bit. It rises slightly high. Let me see. Well, maybe not that much. So that's off. That's a gun. But yeah, probably a little bit because it looks like you might, I can't see the angle. Gun, sidewinder, and Phoenix Sparrow. Okay, so it's off a little bit. I think what I'm gonna go ahead and do is take the housing back off. Loosen the set screw and rotate this down just a little bit. So I'm trying to gently tug on the housing here, and this comes off. Okay, so for the set screw, we'll loosen it and take it down, rotate it clockwise just a smidget. I think that's fine. Retighten the set screw. Okay, and let's put on the housing again. And you can see the holes, possibly, that when you align the housing up, these pegs, they drop right in those holes there. Okay, so we'll take this guy, slide him back on. All right, drop him in. Okay, let's see how he looks. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. It's probably a little bit different from the angle that you're seeing here, but okay. Yep. All right, cool deal. So now that the housing is back in place, we'll just go ahead and put in our screws. Just use this here. I should have brought out a little bit of grease or something so that this is a little bit more sticky. Well, I just may put in one for now. The rest of the two screws is straightforward. But now what we want to do is go ahead and address the slot that we have in our joystick. For me, I have a 3D printer, so I could 3D print a little slot and put that in there, and with a little adhesive, and I can fix that, cover that slot up. And what that would look like, I just took a little like Velcro strip for now, just as an example. And if I put it over the slot here, so to speak, see if this works for me. Maybe, maybe not. It won't stick at the moment. I think you got the general concept. You'll have to use something to recover this particular slot here with some kind of material. At worst case, I was thinking about just using black paint as well to paint that area of the cylinder so that the silver metal is not really noticeable that much. But for me, like I said, I'll get some 3D printed material and refill in that slot there with some material. So that's basically it. The whole goal was to retighten that set screw, and before we tighten the set screw, we tighten our nut from the start that was loose. But at any event, if anything like this happened in the future, this particular one, we have a means to pull this housing off and retighten the set screw if we need to. So that's pretty much it, and that's what's kind of involved, is just getting access to that set screw. And that's it, and thanks for watching.